So you got your Blender model with quite a few materials, all sorts of nodes and node groups, mixes, ambient occlusion masking, and all you want to do is to bake it all into a PBR texture set. Bake Toolkit has you covered. Put your object into collection, set the output path, enable bake on your object, set the resolution, target UV map, and click the big shiny Bake Selection PBR button. Then you can just watch as the textures start popping up in the folder. Don't have non-overlapping UVs to bake to? Not a big deal. Just make a new one, use Smart UV Project and pack using convex mode. If you have UV Pack Master add-on, even better. Once you're done baking, you can use the textures in your game engine and put them into any ORM compatible material. Just do not forget to set up the right color space for channel textures. Once done, you will get a result that's one-to-one to your Blender scene. If you want to quickly iterate while seeing the results of the bake, make a copy of your object, remove all existing materials and make a new one. Then plug your bake textures into this material. Once done, the add-on will automatically refresh the textures once each bake completes to instantly preview the results. Baking high poly to low poly objects is also easy. Just set it up like any other bake object and then in high poly rollout, select the collection containing the high poly objects and set the bake cage distance. Once done, it's again just a single click process. I can't even tell them apart. High poly objects don't have to be in one piece. The high poly collection can contain as many objects as you want and they will still bake to your low poly object without any issues. Sometimes you want to have your baked objects separated into multiple pieces which still share the same material and the same UV layout, for example individually moving parts of a single vehicle. That's what the Bake Collection button is for. It will simply bake all objects in active collection as if it was one object with a texture set named after the collection name. You can even bake to multiple low poly objects from one high poly collection, just make sure it's set as source on all of them. You will then get an individual texture set for each low poly object. In case you want to keep your low poly objects separate but still bake them as one material with one UV layout, like the vehicle example before, you can use the collection bake again. You will get a single texture set with the name of the collection containing your low poly objects. If you need to store additional data in alpha channels of your baked PBR set, such as opacity mask in base color or height map in ORM textures, you can utilize AOV node, which is a small, convenient panel with a couple of reserved AOV names. When these names are used, they will inform the Bake Toolkit add-on to store input of their value socket as alpha channels of the given PBR texture. When baking textures from game engines, you will likely run into a scenario where you need to output additional custom textures such as scratch and grime masks, ID masks and so on. Bake Toolkit does this by utilizing AOV nodes. Simply feed anything additional you would want to bake into AOV node and it will be baked into a texture with the name of the AOV node. You can also use value input to store data in the alpha channel. You may run into a scenario where you need to bake custom textures across large amount of objects with large amount of materials, where setting up AOVs and keeping them in sync on every single material would be too laborious and time consuming. This is where Scene AOV tool comes into play. Set all of your objects to be included in the scene bake, then create a new material which does not need to be applied to any of the bake objects and set up your AOVs there. You can use Cycle's material override feature to preview it on the entire scene. Once you are happy with your setup, just use this material in the Scene AOV material slot and click the Bake Scene AOV button. Every single object in your entire scene will then bake with each AOV in the Scene AOV material.